I had a conversation with a friend about email marketing. His numbers for his open rates were going down. He was like, what can I do differently that'll help increase the open rates? He was like, am I doing something wrong? Is there some new secret sauce I need to know about? And so we had this long discussion, came up with a great plan, but I was like, you know what? What a great topic for an episode, because I'm like, I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there asking the same question. How do I make my email marketing even better? How do I increase those open rates? So guess what? You guys are going to be the benefit of that conversation, because that is what we're going to talk about today.
This is Don't Fear Grit with Rob Taormina. Marketing strategies and advertising technologies to help you build a better business.
Welcome back to the only show on all of the interweb that matters. That's right. We are talking about Don't Fear Grit, your resource for all things internet marketing, advertising, and business strategy. We literally talk about everything. We hold nothing back. We bring on some amazing guests, and we've got an incredible lineup for 2023. But that's not what this episode is about. This episode is about email marketing, and the inspiration was a conversation I literally had just today. I had another episode planned for today, but this conversation was so good, and I felt like it was a topic that a lot of people are struggling with. So I'm like, you know what? We're going to go for it. This was a great conversation that I had, and let's bring that into today's episode and talk about email marketing. The first question that everyone is I guess maybe thinking about right now is email marketing dead? And the answer is no. Is it different? Yes. Is it harder? Yeah, it definitely is harder, but like everything else, it evolves. Everything evolves. Nothing stays the exact same, right? So because it evolves, our approach and our strategy also needs to evolve, right? But at its root cause, at its core rather, email marketing is what? A piece of communication that is sent digitally from one email address to another, and someone reads it, right, on their device, on their mobile device, on their computer, right? And it's an email. And on these emails, it could be just text, it could be some graphic, right? And you can maybe juice it up with some stuff, but it's email. But because pretty much everyone has an email now, including businesses and institutions and advertisers and marketers and et cetera, and you're on a zillion lists, you're not just getting emails from your friends and your family, you are getting spammed. But there's nothing new to that. You've always gotten spam. Spam, especially in email, has existed really since the first email was created. So what have you done? Well, how you've approached your email, how you use your email has changed. Our email sort of host providers, where that means where we're actually getting our emails and where we're reading them, they've done a great job. Technology is awesome, right? And they've done a great job at creating appropriate filters and automatically placing certain emails that are coming in into certain buckets, these folders for you, promotions, social, your general inbox, right? And then there's also the spam box, the trash, and then a lot of it ends up into the trash. But because these things are automatically filtering our emails into all of these boxes, we've been trained to actually not look at those folders as much as we do our primary inbox. Think about yourself. When you are getting your emails on your phones, most people are actually getting their emails on their phones and reading all their emails on their phones. Most people are just looking at their primary inbox, and very few people I'm talking about on a regular basis, are now going over to those other folders to go through them to see, was something maybe mistakenly categorized wrong? Or is some of this stuff, is it actually interesting to me? Is it something that I want to read? But what I'm getting at here is that because the way that we are reading our email, getting our email, consuming our email has changed, we as marketers, you as business owners, entrepreneurs, thought leaders, need to understand how the fact that people are actually reading it differently. Therefore, you have to deliver it a little bit differently. In the past, people used to just send out these long, chunky emails. But the thing is, people's time are much more valuable today than it was then. People don't have a lot of time, right? That's why it's more valuable. So they don't have time to necessarily read this long, chunky email. And that's going to get kicked over to a different bucket and maybe not read at all. So a lot of people, for this reason and a few others that we're going to get into, are seeing their open rates decrease. Gone is the golden age of simply just creating any email, clicking send, and getting 60, 70, 80% open rates. Those days are sort of gone, where I'm talking about where it's easy, not impossible, but where it's easy, because there's lots of clutter. There's so much noise that you're competing with, that what is going to be that thing that enables people or wants people or gets people to want to open up your email? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about. What is that secret sauce? What are the changes that you need to make? What are the things that you need to focus on to get and earn people's attention, right? So I'll like break it down into three things. Now, let me back up a little bit. If you're watching, welcome. If you're listening, welcome as well. Love you guys. Love this community. It's amazing. And as always, I appreciate every single person that takes the time to listen or watch the show. And if you could just do me a huge plus, as we're delivering lots of value to you, if you could just sort of repay that value by simply just like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff, that would be really important to us, and I would be like internally grateful for. That'd be awesome. And remember, just share it with just one person. But I want to break it down maybe into three things. I don't like to give too much, because I feel that it becomes overwhelming and people don't know necessarily where to start, even if I tell them to, right? Because there's just so much. So I'm just going to break it down to three things, 3 steps, and make it super, super easy. And I'll preface it by saying these are not the only 3 things. These are 3 things that you can apply. My recommendation, my strong recommendation, as always, if you are a long-term listener of the show, is let this show inspire you to do more, right? So we give lots of value and we show you really the path. There's always going to be a lot more, right? Because we've got a limited time together. So I want to encourage you, and I want this show to inspire you guys. Do more research, do more diligence, become experts, and then you'll be able to apply all those other techniques that you'll learn as well and get even more success. But today we're going to talk about email marketing. What are those things that you could do to increase those open rates? And I'm going to simplify it to just 3 things. And the first one is really simple, but it is grossly overlooked. And when I've done my own research of people that come to me with these problems, including the friend of mine that we were talking with today, and I was asking some questions, and this guy writes amazing emails, like no joke. He's incredibly smart. He is legitimately an expert in his field, and naturally then is able to draft these incredibly intelligent emails, like just chock full of value. But his email open rates are like super, super low, and they're decreasing pretty much with every email that's going out. And he's got a pretty good list as well, over 10,000 people on his list. So why is it that someone who's writing these amazing, well thought out, well-researched emails, why are they going down? Well, one thing that I asked him is, how much time are you putting into drafting this email versus how much time are you putting into drafting your subject? And he said, just like almost everyone, I don't like to talk in absolutes, but also I'll say almost everyone, almost everyone sort of gets put into this sort of same bucket, because they all actually suffer from the same exact problem, which is they're really skilled at writing an amazing email, actually, right? And they put all this time and energy into drafting the right email, maybe layering in some great graphics, designing some really cool stuff, doing their research, making sure they have links, and they do an amazing job, and they spend all this time drafting an amazing email. But then what do? They take their email and whatever email software they're using, they plug it in there, and they're going through all the prompts, and it's like, all right, subject, they just quickly write something, they move on, what segmented list you want, and they click send. Now, the problem with that process, and yes, I'm calling you guys all out on this because I know most of you guys do that. The problem with that is that literally is the line, the piece of copy that's going to convert that person into opening up the email and then enjoying all of that amazing content that you just took all that time to write. If you don't have incredibly dynamic, captivating copy in your subject, that's one of the biggest reasons why you are seeing a lower open rate. You're suffering. You're basically choking yourself, and you're wasting all this time on amazing email, and you're not doing that email service by putting in a good amount of time also in writing dynamic copy. Now, I remember I did a course. I wrote this workshop, and I did this course for a while. And this was many, many years ago. We still have the course, right? And I wrote this sort of the 5 copywriting secrets to success. And the first thing in our copywriting secret is and I'm not going to sort of give away everything right now, right? If you guys are interested, you're welcome to PM me, and maybe I'll send you a link to it, right? But the first element to drafting copy is that first line has to be captivating, right? It has to draw in the user either with a shocking element, a relatable element, and that's when it's sort of standing on its own. Now you add in the variables of lots of different emails, hundreds, thousands of other emails competing for that user's attention. And now they're looking at their phone or they're on their computer and they're going through all their emails. What's going to be the thing that draws them to yours versus everyone else's? You got to think that way. So you have to draft copy that, number one, is going to be relevant to what the email is about. Number two, it has to be captivating enough and shocking enough to get them to stop, look, and read, right? And I've said this in many workshops, if you've attended any of my workshops, right? In the FIRE world, it's the stop, drop, and roll, right? But in copywriting, it's stop, look, and read. And you want to write something. Now you've got one line, one sentence to write something that forces someone to stop, look, and read. And a little research and some time and effort and intention will give you those results. So I want to encourage you all, spend a lot of time drafting this amazing email if you want, but you also should spend time researching and finding out what that headline should be, what that subject should be that get people to stop, look, and read. That one change, without changing anything else, will increase your open rates. Think I'm wrong? Try it. Test it out. Only change that one thing over the course of the next several email blasts that are going to be going out. I guarantee you, if you put time and effort into drafting good, captivating subject lines in those emails, I guarantee you that one change is going to increase your open rates. What does an increased open rate do? That's more eyeballs on the information that you're putting out there. That means you have more opportunities to be influential to whatever it is that you are trying to push them to, whether it be your product, service, or your message, right? So that's just one element. That's number one, right? So that's one thing I want you to consider. I want you to research, and I want you to try. And whether or not you believe me, test it. You're going to get incredible results. The second thing I want to encourage you to do is to get away from emails being too chunky. Now, you're going to hear me say this a few times, and I'm repeating myself, but anytime I repeat myself, it's because it's incredibly important. So I think that you need to stop giving away too much information in your emails, which I know is contrary. It's counter to what people used to say, right? Give away 99.9% of the value. That's how you earn people's attention. And that's true. And I'm not saying to not do that eventually. But because people's attention span, number one, is really small. Number two is they don't have a lot of time. So understand how people are using the devices that they are using to access email, whether it be computer or cell phone, especially a cell phone. They're getting it and they're scrolling and they're looking at information very, very quickly. And likely, they are at places where they don't have a lot of time, 15 minutes, to just read something, right? They could be maybe at work sneaking it, at school sneaking it, with family sneaking it, hearing a lot of sneaking, right? But the point is, understand how people are actually reading emails, when they're reading their emails. Now, if you can get into their mindset and have a better understanding of how people are consuming the content, that gives you an edge. Now you understand how to draft that content. So my recommendation is take your chunky email and chop it down into this small bite-sized thing where that in less than 30 to 60 seconds, they can get the idea of what you're trying to say. And give them an opportunity now to actually read more or watch more and learn more at a different link. Now, and if you're insisting on just it being copy, well, then fine. Have that exist on a blog and they can go and they can read that entire thing. But this leads me to the third thing that I recommend. Remember, I'm only giving you 3 because I don't want to overwhelm you. The first one is the subject line of your email. The second thing that I want you to consider and to focus on and to change is don't make it so chunky. Make it into a bite-sized piece, understanding how people are reading this, and allow them to read it quickly, 30, 60 seconds max, and then send them off somewhere to give them that opportunity to actually consume even more. The third thing, and this is actually a major change in the email marketing world. I'll start with the way it was, and then I'll end with how you actually should be drafting your emails. A good email marketing strategy. So the way it was is that you would actually draft the email to then send them to other places of where you wanted them to buy something, right? Or send them to a different article altogether, or you wanted to send them to some of your social media where they can maybe follow you and subscribe to you, right? But where it was is the email was the primary chunk of the content, of the message. That was all right there in that email. People just needed the email and everything that they needed was really right there. This is where I'm recommending making a big change. I actually think that the gist of your message, your whole message, should actually exist in a video format. You should actually record yourself basically dictating your email, right? I'm not saying read it, right? Don't read it. That's boring. But give a video message of what it is that you are trying to communicate. It doesn't matter if you're trying to sell a product or offer your services, or if you just got a message, but put it in a video form. More people are consuming video than anything else right now, right? It's a really captivating form of technology. That's where the primary message now lives. You're going to take that video and you are going to transcribe it. The transcription is going to be now your text-based blog. You're going to now write a very small blurb. That's what? The 30 to 60 seconds long. That's going to be your email. So notice the change. It used to start in the email, but now what I'm recommending it should start with a video and then work from there. Because number one, you're going to actually give something that people are going to connect with more. I think the connection element is going to be a big factor in 2023. More episodes on that a little bit later on in the DFG world, right? But it's going to allow you to connect more. That's huge. And number two is you're going to be able to create a ton of content. Now, because you've created a video form of this, you can chop it up into social media content. You can create value bombs. You can create ads from this, right? Because there's AI is also huge in 2023. You could very easily transcribe this. Now your whole thing is pretty much, your email is done drafted. Your blog is done drafted. And now all you got to do is put together this little blurb that's 30 to 60 seconds long. That actually should be your email. So those are the 3 things. Now, there's a lot of other things going on lately that are helping people get better results from email. But I think these 3 are things that everyone can do. I think these 3 things will also provide immediate results, meaning that you apply what I just suggested to your email marketing strategies. I think you're going to get an immediate result versus some things sometimes do take time. This is not that, right? So, and again, I don't want to overwhelm you guys. So 3 is a very easy number for us to be able to remember. And also 3 things are not overwhelming. We could do things in groups of 3, right? And so that's sort of my message. And I hope this really encourages you, because I know a lot of people that I've been speaking with, for example, like the conversation I had with a friend today, they are really discouraged and disappointed in the results they're seeing with email, to the point where they're considering abandoning email altogether. I don't recommend that at all. I think there is tremendous opportunity with email when done the right way. remember, just because things change doesn't mean they don't work. We just got to discover the new way of doing it. And email marketing is one of those things that has evolved that requires us to sort of evolve with it as well. And we just got to adopt these sort of new techniques. And once we do, we're going to see great results. But here's another thing. Guess what? In a few years, maybe even a few months, who knows? It's going to change again, and we're going to have a conversation all over again, and that's okay. Guys, I appreciate you guys. If this is the last episode before Christmas, I'm not sure if it will be. I'm working out an idea right now, maybe for one more episode to drop before Christmas. But if I don't get to talk to you guys, have an amazing Merry Christmas, an amazing Happy Holidays to every single one of you guys. Be safe, have fun, enjoy the holidays, and remember, don't fear grit. That means the essence of our show is embrace the hard work, because the greatest results come from the greatest work. And I want you guys to embrace it, because you know what? The journey is a lot of fun, guys. Appreciate you guys. Don't fear grit. It's amazing. I love this community, and happy holidays. Take care.